I was looking at my inbox this morning, and I swear, every third email was some newsletter promising that AI is about to, automate my entire existence.
Mm.
It feels like if you aren't overhauling your entire company workflow by lunchtime, you're already a dinosaur.
It creates a lot of noise, doesn't it? That feeling of everything, everywhere, all at once. It's exhausting.
It really is. It creates this massive industrialized FOMO. You sit there thinking, wait, is everyone else sitting on a beach while a robot does their job and I'm the only one still, manually typing out replies to my boss?
Right.
It feels like we are living in two different realities,
Yeah.
the one on Twitter and the one in actual offices.
That is the narrative. But there is often a massive gap, sometimes a canyon, between what companies claim in their press releases and what is actually happening on the servers.
And that is exactly why I was so excited to tear into the documents we have for today. We are doing a deep dive into the Anthropic Economic Index. And right off the bat, this felt different to me. It wasn't a survey. It wasn't, 60% of CEOs say AI is cool.
Right. That is the critical distinction here.
Huh.
Most of the headlines we see are based on sentiment. They're based on asking executives, what do you plan to do? Or how do you feel about Gen AI? It's all aspirational.
Yeah.
This report ignores opinions entirely.
They went straight to the receipts.
They did. This index analyzes actual behavioral data. We are talking about anonymized logs from approximately 1 million consumer conversations on Claude.ai and 1 million enterprise API interactions,
Wow.
all drawn from usage in November 2025.
So this is a snapshot of reality. Not the hype, not the marketing pitch, but what a million actual humans and businesses typed into the box when nobody was watching.
Precisely. And the mission for our deep dive today is to use that data to find the boring truth. We want to move past the AI everywhere slogan and uncover where the real value lies, where the technology hits a hard wall, and why reliability is suddenly becoming the most expensive currency in the tech world.
I love that. The boring truth. Let's get grounded. When you look at a data set, that's the big a million conversations, you expect to see everything under the sun, right? People planning weddings, writing novels, diagnosing weird rashes, debating philosophy. What's the headline here?
Well, this is where it gets fascinating. Despite all the wild sci-fi imaginings we have about AI acting as a general purpose companion for life, the data shows that users are actually creatures of extreme habit.
Huh.
Usage is incredibly concentrated.
Concentrated how? Are we talking about the 80-20 rule?
It's even sharper than that in some ways. When you look at the logs, the 10 most common task types make up roughly a quarter of all consumer usage.
A quarter.
And for businesses using the API, software talking to software, those top 10 tasks make up nearly a third of all traffic.
That is a huge chunk for just 10 activities. So it's not a million different use cases. It's a handful of really specific ones that people keep coming back to.
Yeah, exactly. And when you dig into what those tasks are, there is one clear winner that dominates the field. It dwarfs everything else.
Let me guess. Writing emails. Marketing copy.
You'd think so, given the hype about creative writing, but no. It's software work.
Coding.
Coding, debugging, refactoring, modifying scripts. This accounts for a massive share of the usage. It reinforces something that builders have felt for a while now. Large language models aren't replacing the architect, but they are acting as a high-speed assistant inside technical workflows.
That's interesting because coding feels like a high barrier task. But you're saying that's where the volume is. Why there? Why not creative writing?
Think about verification. If you ask an AI to write a poem or a blog post, it's hard to say objectively if it's correct. It's subjective.
Sure.
But if you ask it to write a Python script to scrape a website, you run the code. It either works or it throws an error. The feedback loop is instant.
Right. It's verifiable utility. It's either right or it's wrong.
Exactly. It's like having a really fast junior developer sitting next to you who never gets tired of reading error logs.
Right.
They might not know how to architect the whole system, but they are incredible at spotting the missing semicolon or rewriting a function to be cleaner.
That's a great analogy. And here's a detail from the report that I think is really telling. This concentration hasn't shifted much over time.
What do you mean?
Well, you might expect that as the models get older, we are a few years into this boom now and people get more comfortable, you'd see this explosion of brand new breakthrough use cases popping up every month.
Yeah, you'd expect the graph to flatten out as people discover new things.
Right, like maybe people start using it for complex legal negotiation or interior design or, I don't know, managing their fantasy football league.
Exactly. But the index shows stability. People found what works, mostly coding, technical writing, and summarization,
Mm-hmm.
and they stayed there. There isn't this massive long tail of weird new uses taking over.
That actually challenges the narrative of a broad rollout. The strategy where a CEO just buys licenses for everyone in the company, HR, sales, janitorial, and says, figure it out, make us more efficient.
The data suggests that is a recipe for disappointment. If you just sprinkle AI over an organization like fairy dust, you get very little value. Success seems to come from targeting the specific tasks where the LLM has already proven to be strong like software engineering, rather than hoping it will magically solve problems it wasn't designed for.
So if I'm a manager listening to this, I shouldn't be asking, how can we use AI? I
No.
should be asking, where do we have code, text processing, or translation bottlenecks?
Exactly. Find the nail that fits the hammer. Don't
Mhm.
try to hammer a screw. Just because the tool can talk about anything doesn't mean it's useful for everything.
Okay, so we know what people are doing, mostly technical work. But how they are doing it seems to be a whole other story.
Hmm.
The report breaks this down into consumer versus enterprise. And reading through this, it sounds like two completely different worlds.
It really is a tale of two strategies. And
Hmm.
honestly, this was one of the biggest aha moments in the report for me. It explains why individuals often feel like AI is magic, while big companies feel like it's a headache.
Let's start with the consumers, the individuals logging into Claude or ChatGPT directly. How are they using it?
They are acting as collaborators. The report calls this the collaborator approach. When you or I use the tool, we tend to iterate.
Yeah.
We ask a question, we get an answer. Maybe the answer is 80% right. So we say, actually tweak that second paragraph, or no, it's not quite right, try this angle.
Right, it's a back and forth. I do this all the time. I'm steering the ship. If it hallucinates or goes off track, I catch it immediately.
Exactly. And that human-in-the-loop steering produces better outcomes because you are constantly correcting the trajectory. You are the guardrail. You are applying your judgment at every step.
Okay, so that's us. What are the big companies, the enterprise users, doing differently?
They are the automators. They are interacting via the API, which usually means they're trying to build a system where the human doesn't have to be involved.
Okay.
They want efficiency. They want to turn an input into an output with zero labor cost.
Which makes sense on a spreadsheet. If I can automate a process, I save money. I don't want to pay a human to sit there and chat with a bot all day. I want to push a button and have the work done.
It makes economic sense, yes. But the data reveals a critical problem. The report calls it the reliability ceiling.
The reliability ceiling. That sounds ominous. Is that just a fancy way of saying the AI isn't smart enough?
It's not about intelligence, it's about probability. The data shows that Claude performs exceptionally well when tasks are short, clear, and require fewer reasoning steps.
Okay.
But as soon as you try to automate a complex chain, where the AI has to think through 5 or 6 different dependencies without a human checking, the work quality drops off a cliff.
Can you break that down? Why does the length of the chain matter so much?
Think about it like this. Let's say the model is 90% accurate on a single task. That's amazing, right? An A-minus student.
Sure, I'd take 90% accuracy for most things. If I hired a human who was right 90% of the time, I'd probably give them a raise.
But if you chain 5 of those tasks together in an automated workflow, you have to multiply the probabilities.
Sure.
0.9 times 0.9 times 0.9. By the time you get to the 5th step, your success rate is down to about 59%.
Oh, wow. So you go from an A student to a failing grade just by adding a few steps.
Exactly. And in an API workflow, there is no human there to say, wait, step 2 looks weird, let me fix it. The system just takes the bad output from step 2 and feeds it into step 3, compounding the error.
So the consumers are getting better results because they are babysitting the AI, fixing those errors in real time, and the companies are seeing failure rates because they are trying to let it run wild to save money.
Essentially, yes. Completion rates fall as the thinking chains get longer. If you're a business trying to replace a complex workflow with a single magic button, you hit that reliability ceiling very quickly.
This feels like a huge reality check for anyone trying to build an automated business right now. It sounds like we're stuck. Is the answer just wait for GPT-5 or wait for Claude 4, just wait for the smarter chips?
Surprisingly, the report suggests the answer isn't just better technology, but better process. You don't need a smarter model to break the ceiling. You need a better blueprint.
Okay, let's unpack that. How do we break the ceiling without waiting for new hardware?
It comes down to a concept called modularity or task decomposition.
Task decomposition, breaking things into smaller pieces.
Right. The report found that big tasks aren't impossible for the AI, but they're very hard to get right in one shot. However, when users or developers break a large task into smaller, discrete chunks, success rates skyrocket.
Give me a concrete example. What does that look like in practice?
Okay, imagine you want to write a technical white paper. The automator approach would be one prompt. Here's the topic, write me a 10-page white paper.
And based on what we just said, that's going to result in a rambling, hallucinated mess.
Guaranteed failure. It will lose the thread halfway through. The modular approach splits it up. Step 1. Research this topic and generate 5 key bullet points. Stop. Validate. Step 2. Turn those bullet points into an outline. Stop. Validate. Step 3. Draft the introduction based on this outline.
So instead of one magic button, it's an assembly line.
Yes. And for enterprises using the API, it means you can't just try to replace a job with one giant prompt. You have to build a software architecture where the AI does step 1, then maybe a validation script checks it or a human reviews it, and only then does it move to step 2.
It sounds like we were moving away from artificial intelligence as a mystic oracle and back toward good old-fashioned software engineering.
That is the perfect way to put it. We are treating the LLM as a component in a system, not the system itself. And there's another data point here that connects to this. It's about the people writing the prompts.
Oh, right. The perfect correlation. I saw that chart. That is a strong phrase for a data report.
It is rare to see in the wild, but the data is clear. Better prompts don't just get slightly better answers, they get radically better outcomes. There is a near-linear relationship between the sophistication of the prompt and the quality of the output.
Define sophistication here. Are we talking about being polite to the robot, saying please and thank you?
No, the model doesn't care about your manners, though it doesn't hurt. Sophistication means context, constraints, and examples.
Ah.
It means giving the model a persona, defining what success looks like, and providing few-shot examples of the desired output. It means being incredibly specific about what you don't want.
So if you're getting bad results from AI, the call is likely coming from inside the house.
In many cases, yes. This implies that AI adoption isn't just a software rollout where you install a program and walk away. It is a skills rollout.
That is a huge shift in mindset. You can't just buy the tool. You have to train your people to speak the language of the tool.
Correct. If you are lazy with the input, the output will be useless. Garbage in, garbage out holds true even with superintelligence. You are essentially managing a very literal, very capable intern. If you give them vague instructions, you get vague work.
I want to zoom out a bit here. We've talked about the tech and the technique, but the report didn't just look at how we use it, but where we use it. And there was a fascinating note about geography that really caught me off guard.
This was unexpected. When they looked at the global data, they found a stark difference in usage patterns based on the economic structure of the country.
What's the split?
Well, in the U.S. and similar high-income economies, Claude is primarily a workplace productivity tool. It's about efficiency. Coding faster, writing emails faster, summarizing meetings.
Yeah.
It's about shaving minutes off the workday. It's about optimizing an already efficient system.
Okay, that tracks with everything we've discussed. We are obsessed with speed.
But in lower-income countries, parts of the global south, for example, the usage leans heavily toward academic and educational support.
That is profound. So in one place, it's an efficiency engine, and in another, it's a tutor.
It's a learning multiplier. Think about it. In the U.S., access to information isn't usually the bottleneck. Time is. But in regions where access to high-quality university education or expert mentorship might be scarce or incredibly expensive, the AI is filling that gap.
It's democratizing the expert.
Exactly. It shows that adoption isn't just about what the tech can do, but what the local economy needs it to do. If you need a coding buddy, it's that. If you need a physics professor, it's that.
That really changes how you look at the global impact. It's not just making rich countries richer. It's potentially leveling the playing field on knowledge access.
Potentially, yes. It's allowing people to leapfrog educational barriers. But we have to be careful with the word productivity.
Okay.
The report actually spends a good amount of time cooling down the hype around those massive global GDP numbers we keep hearing.
Yeah, I've seen predictions that AI is going to double global GDP, and we're all going to be living on yachts by 2030.
The optimistic models often predict around 1.8% annual labor productivity growth over the next decade. That is massive. That's industrial revolution levels.
Right?
But the Anthropic index suggests we need to adjust that expectation downward. They're looking at something closer to 1% to 1.2%.
1% doesn't sound as sexy as 1.8%. But that difference, that 0.6% or 0.8% gap, that represents trillions of dollars. Why the drop? What's dragging it down?
It goes back to what we discussed earlier, reliability. The report called it the reliability tax.
The reliability tax. I like that term. What exactly are we paying for?
We are paying for the overhead of deployment. It turns out AI isn't free labor.
Yeah.
You have to build those validation systems we talked about. You have to pay humans to review the AI's work. You have to handle the errors when the AI hallucinates. You need fallback workflows for when the API goes down.
Right. So if the AI writes a report in 5 minutes, but I have to spend 20 minutes fact-checking it because I can't trust it 100%, my productivity didn't skyrocket. It just went up a little bit.
Exactly. Or if you automate a customer service line, but the AI promises a refund it shouldn't have, the cost of cleaning up that mess subtracts from the savings.
So the output from the AI is cheap, but the verified output is expensive.
That is the key, quote, concept for me. Decision makers cannot view AI output as free. The cost of maintaining reliability is real, and it eats into those theoretical productivity gains. That's the tax.
But, and I want to be clear here, even with the tax, 1.2% growth is still good.
All right, it's incredible. It's the difference between a stagnant economy and a booming one over 20 years. It is transformative, but it requires a much more disciplined approach to operations than just let the AI do it.
Right.
It's not magic, it's just better operations.
So bringing this all together, we have a technology that is incredibly powerful, but surprisingly narrow in its current best use cases. It loves code, it loves structure.
And it loves collaboration.
Right. It works best when we treat it as a partner, not a replacement. The data is screaming that the human in the loop isn't a bug, it's a feature.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
The automator mindset, trying to replace humans entirely, hits that reliability ceiling. The collaborator mindset breaks through it by keeping the human steerage.
And for the people listening who want to actually get value out of this, whether they are coding in Python or writing marketing copy, the secret sauce seems to be modularity.
Break it down. Don't ask for the world in one prompt. Decompose the task. And, frankly, get better at prompting. The skill of the user is the biggest variable in the success of the model.
It's funny, we started this deep dive talking about how AI is hyped as this magic wand that fixes everything. But the reality described in this report feels much more like a power tool.
That is the perfect distinction. A power tool allows a skilled carpenter to build a house much faster, maybe 10 times faster.
Yeah.
But if you give a power saw to someone who doesn't know how to build a frame, you don't get a house.
Right.
You get a pile of wood and a trip to the emergency room.
A very vivid image.
But true. The reliability tax is essentially the cost of learning to use that power tool safely and effectively. You have to measure twice and cut once, even with AI. You have to maintain the tool. You have to know when not to use it.
I think that is such a healthy way to reframe the conversation. It stops being about, will AI take my job, and starts being, how do I become the master carpenter with this new tool?
Precisely. The report concludes with a distinction that I think sums it up perfectly. LLMs create potential productivity. Actual productivity comes from process, training, and design.
The gap between potential and actual is where the work is. That's where the consultants, the engineers, and the smart managers need to live.
That's it. And that is where the opportunity is for everyone listening. It's not about the model you buy. It's about the workflow you build around it.
Well, we have covered a lot of ground, from the concentration of coding tasks to the global economics of learning. It's given me a lot to think about regarding my own workflow. I definitely need to stop trying to get it to write entire episodes in one prompt.
Try breaking it into segments next time. See what happens. Start with an outline.
I will. Before we go, if I could leave the listener with one final thought to chew on, what would it be?
It would be this. We spend billions of dollars trying to build better, smarter, faster AI models. We are obsessed with the silicon. But the data shows that the biggest multiplier on performance isn't the model itself. It's the user's ability to prompt, guide, and decompose tasks.
So the bottleneck isn't the machine.
It's the human. So are we focusing too much on buying the best AI and not enough on building the best thinkers to wield it? We might be upgrading the software when we should be upgrading ourselves.
That is a fantastic question. The ultimate upgrade is wetware, not software.
It certainly looks that way.
Thank you so much for breaking this down with us. This was the Anthropic Economic Index deep dive, and I feel like we just scratched the surface of what's coming next.
It was a pleasure.
And to you listening, thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you on the next one.